that is very clear. It's not about telling people about the personal opportunities, or telling people about how ready your country is, but it's about third-party verifications of investment projects, investment climate reforms, and so forth. And very clear is the World Bank doing business rankings. And on a consistent basis, there are parameters that you need to meet in order for you to get a ranking, an improved ranking on a yearly basis. And this we have been doing over the years. And it was even as a result of that 12 parameters out of 20 was attained during the MCC Awards that got us nominated for the first time. And on a consistent basis, we've also seen that Sierra has made strategic and systematic progress in doing business rankings. The business environment is being transformed. There is a credit reference bureau set up. We have streamlined registration processes. You can register a business in 24 hours. But if you come to Sleeper with right documentation, I can assure you that the turnaround time will be reduced and you can register a business on the same day. Let's come to something that interests investors: the macroeconomic environment of the country. The real GDP growth rate in 2014 settled at 14.3%. This was the second highest growth rate in the world. And it is projected that in 2014 it will settle around 14%. And the good news is the results, the reason behind the growth rate, the growth rate we've attained so far is the contribution from the mining sector. Let me tell you this. In the agricultural sector, Senegal have never had any serious agricultural investments in the commercial sector, the commercial way. But over the years, we have attracted key names like Sandami, the largest plantation company, oil palm plantation company in the world. The second largest gold in Peruvian, the Real Malaya, the French Dynagro. These companies have all come to Sierra and they're doing business. Something is about to export oil palm. We have seen a group from India, and it's very clear that within the next 5 to 10 years, Sierra is going to be a leading exporter of palm oil in the whole world. And that simply means that in fact, GDP growth rate is going to increase and enhance because the agricultural sector is going to augment and support the growth rate that was gained from the mining sector.
It's simple and very clear. Sierra Leone is on the move. We are open for business. What has been shared with you is a demonstration as to the mileage we have covered. Recently, you might have read, on the internet or somewhere, a publication by the civil society. The extent of tax breaks been given. They say we are losing a lot more. That may be true in a sense. But going beyond that, our thinking is that there is a need to create a room such that a good number of real investors will come and be part of the transformation of a nation. And just so that I share this with you, what you've just seen is scores of businesses doing well in the agro industry. Now, what we are doing right now is tasked the team responsible for tax policy to review the activities of all agro businesses and ask the right questions. What are our incentive levels? Can we give more incentives such that we'll be able to attract more businesses? Could we, for example, put together the accumulative tax incentives and ask the right questions? What impact are they delivering? On the flip side of it, there is a need to take a look at the amount of taxes being paid by all of these agro-businesses and ask, well, hang on a minute, what if production commences? What could be the cumulative impact on the economy? How many Sierra Leoneans have they employed? But how would we develop the value chain? That is the question. And that is why in our agenda for prosperity, we have made a commitment to ensure that not only will we diversify our economy, but we should be able to be globally competitive. We know that to attract you to come to Sierra Leone, we need to do well in the area of infrastructural development, particularly in the area of energy. We are just nearly there in terms of concluding a PPA with a particular company to be able to provide 100 megawatts for the western area. We have decided as soon as possible to commence studies on developing the national grid, but most importantly, the grid around the western area. The reason why I will encourage you to come to Sierra Leone will be twofold in addition to everything that I've said. Nowhere will you find a good friend to invest than in a particular nation led by someone who is also coming from the private sector. That is the bottom line. And all of us are challenged every morning and every afternoon and evening by the president. He says, we've made a commitment to run the country as a business. But so too must we be very clear in our minds that we want a private sector-led economy. And that is what we are pushing for. We want to grow, we want to transform our economy, but we want you to be part of this process. We want you to be in the driving seat. Government will never be efficient in running a business, particularly so doing what the private sector will do, except in areas where we think that public goods should be provided by government. But I'm sure you might have been briefed that we have PPP arrangements in the country. So it really is up to you. We are taking a look at our incentives arrangement. If it requires that we provide further incentives, we will. A good number of us were recruited from overseas to go back to our country. The rationale is simple and short. Do that which is required of you and put in place mechanisms that will ensure that businesses thrive as quickly as possible. And one last thing I will say, remember I said two elements. Pay No Bribe campaign is now championed by His Excellency the President. If you go to Freetown and there are stumbling blocks, speak to me. You don't have to pay any bribe. If you have stumbling blocks, please draw my attention and draw the attention of the Trade Ministry. There are people prepared to ensure that we put in place mechanisms that will help our country to propel. This is certainly not about us any longer, it's about prosperity. The prosperity we have charted to ensure that we achieve, but it's mostly about the new generation. All of us as Sierra Leoneans carry the badge of blood diamonds. That should be behind us, and we've tried as much as possible to put that behind us. Believe you me and trust me, this is a new Sierra Leone. What has been shared with you is just tip of the iceberg. There are many more arrangements in place. There are many more agreements that we are trying to conclude. I'll stop here and encourage you, please, to ask as many questions as possible, and I'll avail myself to be able to respond to them. And I must say that we also enjoy the support of Parliament to pass laws and rules and regulations. I thank you so much for your attention. Good afternoon.
Sierra Leone as a country has come a long way since 2007. When my president assumed office, he made a pledge that he's going to run that country like a business. And that is exactly what he's doing. And we are here this morning to crave your indulgence, to ask you all to join us in that bandwagon to make sure we realize that objective. Transforming that prosperous nation, prosperous in inverted commas, with all the huge and abundant resources to become a middle-income country, to have an impressive group like you assembled here to witness presentations on the many business opportunities that exist in that beautiful little country. I am, and I speak on behalf of my President and the Minister of Trade, very delighted to be here to share with you some thoughts and ideas and plans on investment opportunities that exist in Sierra Leone. Today, Sierra Leone is labeled as the new investment destination in Africa. That is very true. As we realize, Sierra Leone has some of the best natural resources in the world. The world exists, and the development of productive capacities are key drivers of economic growth. Even though mobilizing investments remains a major challenge for most countries in our region, doing so is now the current wave of trade and commerce. Hence the reason why we are here. We do realize as a small country with all the abundant resources that there is no way a country can be attractive to investors just because it has great natural resources. You have to make that country business friendly. Otherwise, your natural resources mean nothing. As a government, that is what we have been doing. We've created the enabling environment. My ministry is at the center of this. Today, we are one of the fastest growing economies, driven largely by some of our natural resources. Today, our business environment ranking has improved, and we are seriously working on it. I was in a meeting recently with the President. Currently, we rank 142. We qualified for the MCC. We're working very hard to ensure that we attract funding from that side. And hopefully by November, I would be able to attract that funding. We have some of the best and most stringent corruption laws. And we set up the mechanisms to ensure that we minimize corruption as much as we possibly can. With all of these ventures, good governance, observance of the rule of law, providing security, we are now a nation that is exporting peace and security to other countries. If I could quote the President, a couple of weeks ago, he launched the security sector report, and he said Sierra Leone has come a long way. We are now exporting security. 10 years ago, we relied on other nations to provide security for us. Today, we are providing peace and security for other nations. This is how far we've come.
I'm here at the Sierra Leone Investment Show. I'm here with
Adam Spangora.
So Adam Spangora, what do you think of the whole Sierra Leone Investment Forum?
Well, the forum has been successful, as you can see by the number of attendees and interest that's been shown so far. But as a Sierra Leonean in particular, I was quite pleased listening to the Minister of Finance when he spoke about the diaspora bond, because that's one particular area I'm quite interested in, because I've written a project about it, and some of us have been pushing very hard to get our government government's attention into that area. So listening to the ministers talking about that, it makes me feel like doing something even more for my. Of course, with the number of information that have come out, it's been not only educative but quite interesting also. Because when you're listening to the CEO of Sleeper during his presentation, you will know that he knows exactly what he's talking about. You know, and every one of us, you know, in my table, we were quite pleased, like I said to you. So far so good as a Sierra Leonean. Of course, I want to see my country do good. These are the sort of things that gets us involved into the activities of my country.
Very vindicative, inspiring speeches and presenting concrete business cases. I think that's very, very important to see speakers from different angles talking about the investment intentions in Sierra Leone. So I'm very much impressed. We are trying to organize a similar investment forum in Holland, in collaboration with Sleeper. So to come here today and to see the way the setting and the organization of the entire thing is very inspirational. So I hope by the time we are in Holland to organize similar thing that will actually replicate what the good things about this thing today.
As much as you saw it from the PowerPoint presentation, you now have the opportunity to see it visually, and also you'll see endorsements from some of the investors in Sierra Leone, how the climate is conducive for them and how they are carrying on with their operation.
I just want to find out, what are your personal opinion about the forum and what do you think? Is it a good idea? What they do in the projects they're trying to bring up?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I mean, I've never, as I said, it's my first time in this type of forum, and it opened my eyes into a lot of things about Sierra Leone. I'm a Sierra Leonean, but I've lived here for over 20 odd years. So it was good, I mean, just to sit here and just gather a lot of information and a lot of improvement as a Sierra Leonean. It's good for me to know, and then I've got a lot of things I'm going to have to go back and put together.
I just came back about 4 weeks ago, set up a company in Sierra Leone called Vehicle Testing Sierra Leone Limited. What I intend to do is to take the MOT system to Sierra Leone in order to check our vehicles, to save the lives of the ordinary people in Sierra Leone. So at present, I went there with my partners. We've set up the company, we've opened the bank account. Our slight impediment is finance. But again, it's a 3-in-1 project.
Ken Wright. I'm the resident advisor on PPP unit, that's the public-private partnership unit in the President's office, based in Wellington Street, Freetown. I'm a resident advisor on a 2-year contract sponsored by DFID, UK Aid.
Okay, so Ken, I was just going to ask you, so what do you think of the forum so far?
We have to do this more often and a little, more specific to be targeted now. Now we've kind of opened the doors to people in general. I think we now need to get into specific sectors. We have an energy sector that really needs a lot of work. We have a water sector we need to do. So we need to do more mini forums around those sectors to get the right type of investment.
What exactly do you do? Like you're
opposed to public-private partnership, it means that the government can go to the private sector rather than borrowing money, where that money, they have a scarce amount of money for, let's say, health, education and other areas. So what they're saying to the private sector, we want to build infrastructure, and if you can lend us the money and get your return in so many years, then it reverts back to us.
So you guys basically give loans? You give like aids like?
No, what we do is we set up the whole mechanism of how that would be done, because the big thing about it is there's something, is it value for money, is it affordable, is it bankable, and the other thing that we now decide is how does the government get the benefit? Is the benefit greater by the private sector doing it than them doing it themselves?
Okay.
So if the benefits are no greater and the risk is not transferred to the private sector, it's not worth doing, and that form of investment is not, we'll find another method of investment.
I am the chairman of CEC Group, which we're the oldest engineering group in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
We do power supplies, and we also design engineering services in hotels, banks, mine sites.
Well, Claire, so far today you've had a lot of foreigners, and like the Europe Union is involved. So introducing outsiders into Sierra Leone, what possibility do you think, like advantages do they have? So if for example, if someone wants to come and invest in Sierra Leone, what would you advise them to do?
Well, the first thing is to prepare yourself. Be prepared, the scout saying is. Look at the website. Have an iPad. That's the best girlfriend you can have.
That's what your wife said. That's what you said.
And with that, you learn all about the country.
Okay.
Once you've learnt all about it, do that before you step in there. Communicate with people. Communicate either the British Chamber of Commerce or communicate with Sleeper.
Okay.
Make sure that you find someone to represent you.
Okay. So basically, do your research before you.
Do your research 100%.
All right.
Otherwise, you'll be done.
Sleeper is an investment promotion agency. It was enacted by an Act of Parliament in 2009 to do three things: one, investment promotion; two, export development and diversification; and then three, aftercare, investment aftercare.
So what is your role with Sleeper?
Currently, I am the acting CEO and the director of investment. What I do basically is to foreign direct investors and also grow domestic investors on the ground. At the end of the day, they should be able to create jobs and try to break the vicious circle of poverty.
Okay, so will there be events like this taking place in the near future?
Oh yes. The investment promotion circle never stops actually. Later on this year, we're having an investment forum again in Sierra Leone, so that investors can come and see. Seeing is believing, whatever we are saying. And we're also taking these road shows to Asia. We're going to the GCC states, 4 countries in the GCC. We'll be going to Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain. We'll be going there as well. And we just left Nigeria, and we're having one in Freetown. And towards the end of the year, there's going to be an expo, the Sierra Leone Expo here in London again, October, November.
Well, I'm here with Marty Gordon from the United States. So, Marty, how are you enjoying the event so far?
It was very informative, which was important. I got to meet several of your distinguished politicians.
Yes.
And it was definitely well worth the trip here from the United States for the conference.
So for those who don't know, Marty, what do you do?
I'm a diamond merchant in the United States.
Oh, so Marty, so you came here, was it a short notice thing or did you plan about it or what?
We had planned to send somebody from the company to meet with Raymond, one of the ministers, and unfortunately he got delayed in Zurich, and I left the United States with 2 hours notice.
So being a diamond merchant, so you being here, what information, do you feel like you've got enough information to invest in Sierra Leone?
Yes, I think we have a basis.
Mm-hmm.
I will be visiting Sierra Leone in May, from the 20th to the 28th.
Okay.
To discuss further what went on today.
Okay, is it your first time in Sierra Leone or have you
Second time.
Second time in Sierra Leone.
Yes.
So you would say events like this is a brilliant idea too?
It was very informative. It's a great idea to give some other people a little bit of knowledge, to take the plunge.
Okay.